Welcome everybody to the third day of the Virtual Roundtable. Today is Saturday, the 17th of April, 2021. I'm delighted to be joined by Richard Osborne from France. It's not quite Paris, but whereabouts in France are you?
The southwest Dordogne, near Bordeaux.
Near Bordeaux, that's the most beautiful area to live in, come on. So Richard Osborne started teaching adult professional English in Paris in 2009. He, equipped with a Celta and Delta and a lifetime of tinkering with computers and the internet, he presents the perfect marriage of the digital and the pedagogic, all the while remaining unbelievably modest, of course. Since 2017, he has been running digital training courses with teachers and their institutions all over France and online. We will also be hearing how the pandemic has actually promoted Richard's business throughout France, actually globally. And he has been able to gain enormous amount of experience in teaching teachers on how to use modern technology, synchronous communication technologies, and also other tools, how to use learning management systems. And he's trained hundreds. And this vast experience is just coming into his talk. And we're looking forward to that beautiful and rich experience and look forward to what you're telling us. Thank you for being here. Over to you.
Thanks, Heike. It's very kind. So let me share, if you don't mind giving me permission to share, Heike. That's all right. While I'm waiting for Heike to give me the sharing permission. Oh, there we go. So get started by explaining, just to say sort of why I'm here. I imagine that nobody here knows me because I'm a bit of a funny presenter. I pop up randomly in places. I'm not really a presenter by trade. I'm in the language training industry, but I'm also in the web development industry, and I have been for a while. And so you may have seen me somewhere before talking in a webinar, but this might be the first time we've ever met. So just to tell you about what I've been doing for the last 4 years and in the last 1 year to explain why I'm here. I know about the virtual roundtable and I've known about Heike. I've met Heike before a long time ago. And it was because 4 years ago, I decided to stop being a full-time teacher and start helping teachers do what I was doing with, I consider that I have a natural talent for using computers because I've been using computers ever since I was 10 and, really quite a lot. And so I tried to help other teachers 4 years ago to get into computers when I saw that people were struggling with computers and having a hard time getting into the technology, being afraid of using technology and sticking to their classroom procedures. I really felt like this is something that's going to be coming in the future. One day we're going to need to use digital tools, and there are teachers in, everybody here, I'm sure, in the virtual roundtable is a virtual teacher, well skilled in computers and tools. So that's not why I'm here today to do my usual training. I had to think of something new to do today. But yeah, the teachers I usually work with are teachers who maybe have never turned on a computer before. Maybe they don't even have a computer in the classroom with them when they're teaching. And so it was about 3 years of really banging my head against the wall, getting invited in by training institutions, training networks, saying we really need our teachers to use tools. They're crying out for it. They're suffering. Doing training with teachers, trying to convince them to use different tools. Finding it really hard to get them to see the point because they would say, well, my classroom tools work just fine. And it was a big lesson for me that I want to talk about today as well. And I'll get to the objective of my presentation in a minute. But one of the things I will talk about today, is what have I learned from trying to convince teachers to use tools and seeing their reaction and understanding that that reaction is actually quite natural and logical to say, what, I'm doing my classroom lesson, my learner likes it fine. Why would I need to use digital tools? And actually they're right. So Heike was worried today when she saw my presentation saying, you're not going to crap all over digital tools and say not to use tools. I say not at all. Like that's obviously not, I am a big fan of using tools. But I have learned over the last 4 years with all these teachers trying to convince them to use tools that you have to use tools responsibly and cleverly. You have to regularly think and audit your tools. So that's one thing I'll talk about today. But anyway, getting to the point, a year ago, we got launched into the coronavirus pandemic. And here in France, we went on full lockdown and all teachers were homebound, working from home, with the understanding that they should be able to do their lessons by video conference, because teaching a language is something you can do on video conference. You don't need to be with the person. It's not a manual training. You can do it, sitting in a room with the person as much as you can do it sitting on a camera. So that assumption was wrong, because for me, I would say 80% of the teachers, I mean, this is just a really random number, but 80% of the teachers in the networks I work with, the schools I work with, were quite scared of going online and using tools. So this launched a lot of teachers into this world of digital training, where they'd never been before. They'd never seen a learner on a video conference before. They'd never shared something on the screen before. They'd never used a YouTube video in class before, maybe even that kind of level of not using technology. And so we went on a training bonanza and trained as many teachers as we could with e-learning materials, blended learning. We had videos that I had recorded, plus coaching sessions that I did with teachers. And like Heike said, we trained over 200 teachers, not including webinars, because the webinars were about 400. But that was sort of 2 hours of just listening as opposed to practicing. The most important thing was getting people to practice in our training. And through that, I realized a lot of different things. And so I wanted to share those things with you today. But at the same time, this is the virtual roundtable, so there's no point in me presenting things that teachers who are not good at technology have learned, what tools work best. That's not something you guys need, because you're all working on digital tools. So it's not going to bring you any value if I just talk about what sort of, I don't want to say lesser teachers, but what teachers with less technology experience have learned is not going to help you. But what I've learned from those teachers has also given me a very good overview of what the market is doing today, where the market is going. Because there's one thing I don't think people here realize, which is, and one of my objectives today is to get you to think about that. Up to a year ago, you guys were doing something quite miraculous. And so when you went to present an offer to a client saying, I have an e-learning solution, I do blended learning, I do in-person coaching plus e-learning. So like the tool we just saw that Paul was presenting, fantastic tool that you can blend into your Visio classes, for example, teach anybody from anywhere around the world with fantastic tools and really impress them. So if you put that even in the most basic description on a website, you're going to attract customers, because customers will see that and think, oh gosh, there's only about 10% of teachers who I've ever seen offering something like this. Most teachers, it's an offer, like a business offer, like, would you like to book me for a Skype session? It's 20 euros per Skype session, and there's no information about what it's going to be. It's just going to be someone talking to you on Skype for 45 minutes, for an hour. That's not a valid business offer. So people will, go towards you guys who are offering these amazing tools and solutions before they go to someone like, just doing individual sessions in their village or something like that. So it is a very attractive thing, what you've been doing up till a year ago. How what we've got this year, and what I've seen as a change in the market, we relaunched our training offer this year to train teachers how to use tools. What we've discovered is that we really haven't got a lot of business this year. We had hundreds of teachers last year in France alone. We've not taught anybody outside of France. This year, we've got virtually none. And when we question people about it, we realize that teachers all over the world are now digitally competent. And that's a danger for everybody who's here. So when I was thinking about what can I actually bring that would be valuable to teachers here, part of my talent is also giving business advice. I work in an incubator. It's like a startup incubator accelerator in Périgueux, which is near Bordeaux. And my job is to help starting businesses, entrepreneurs, to think through their business offer if it has something to do with technology. Try to understand, are all the things that they're doing with their technology really necessary to solve their clients' problems? And so this is well outside of the context of language learning, but it is absolutely applicable to language learning, because one of the things I'll tell you later that I've learned is that teachers are not business minded enough, in my opinion. The people I work with in this incubator are have much more openness to business concepts and to working through business concepts with me. So one of the things I would like to bring to you today is the prediction that the market is becoming dangerous for everyone here, that there is a danger that teachers are now digitally competent, are going to become your competition. So that little niche of the market that you had before could be invaded, and is already being invaded for the last few years, has been being invaded by digital teachers. So digital teachers are becoming more and more common. So today, what you need to do, in my opinion, and what I'm going to try to give you advice about based on my experience, is how to differentiate yourself in a world where e-learning is starting to become more trendy and more mainstream. So you no longer have the sole advantage and the simple advantage of being by nature different. You have to do more, I think, today to differentiate yourself. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Again, I'm not really a speaker by trade. So if you want to go to my website to have a look at what I do, it's osbornesolutions.com, but all you'll see there is my web development and prototyping offers. If you want to see the random podcasts that I've made in the past just for fun, and articles that I've written, my LinkedIn address is there as well. If you want to go linkedin.com/in/Osborne Solutions, where I've written some articles that I just some thoughts, and it's also thoughts that might be useful to you, because a lot of those thoughts I've been having for years is about how do you differentiate yourself? How do you audit the offer that you're giving, this digital offer you're giving your clients, to make sure that it's really, really attractive? So it might be worth reading some of those articles. I could be really critical. I'm a real smart ass. I was told that I'm allowed to swear. I'm going to keep it to a minimum. I am a real smart ass. I'm quite arrogant. And so I will be asking a lot of questions, because if I just talk, I'll say all the things that I think, and nobody will be able to call me out on my BS. So please do type your questions into the chat. I'll open it up and have a look. And I was told as well today that I need to make sure there are thought-provoking questions. So my presentation is only thought-provoking questions. So my very, very first immediate, boom, thought-provoking question: do your learners really want to learn a foreign language? Now, I had to word that really carefully before you answer. The want is bold, because it's the want that counts. Yeah, of course they are learning. Of course, they've come to you and said they need it, and this is really important to them and their job and their life and their whatever. Do they actually fundamentally, your learners who pay you to do training with them, do they want to learn a foreign language? Would they do it if there was no motivation for money, job, anything? If it was just for the pure pleasure of learning whatever language you teach, would they still come to you? So please take to the chat and give me all your thoughts. There is no, I can take it. I can take it. Give me all you got. Andrea says they need it, not want. I love it. Just be honest. Just be honest, Andrea. Let's get into it. So Andrea and I have the same opinion. Somebody, come on, say, yeah, of course they want it, and give me your reasons why. Anybody got an opinion on that? Sharon says some might, but most are interested in getting their degrees. Absolutely. Yeah, I imagine, Sharon, you're teaching a lot of university students then who need this to get their degrees. Jana says you'd have to ask my learners. Oh, Jana, we have some work to do, because you should know that. That is not something I have to ask your learners. You should just know that, because, and we'll get to that afterwards, but you should be taking testimonials. You should be doing feedback forms. You should be doing 6-month impact feedback forms after the training to see if your training has had an impact 6 months down the line when they're still using it. Are they still benefiting from what you've done with them? And then you're putting those statistics on your website somewhere, because that is just gold. You cannot miss out on that. It's like you're going through gold country and without a pickaxe. They could have chosen, so Odette says they could have chosen to study a different discipline in university. Okay, so you've got people in university, Odette, who've actually chosen to study language. I think that's great. And I know people like that. I have an intern who actually is, she's a pedagogic engineer who's chosen English as her specialty. And so she does pedagogic materials for English, and they're fantastic. So yeah, there are people who are passionate about learning languages. There are people who use Duolingo or other free tools out there to learn language. But I would argue that most of the people who are clients, who are paying clients, don't quote unquote want to learn English. It's not a just pure, yes, you're very lucky, you did, yeah. There has to, here we go, come on, somebody's giving me some arguments. So Haj, I think is the first name. There has to be a strong reason for learning a language. Learning for exams is by no means sufficient. I love it. I love it. This is good stuff. Yeah, this is all stuff that should be, all these ideas and thoughts that we're evoking should be informing your business offer and how you present what you're doing. So like I said, today, my point of this presentation is tools. If you can take one thing away, tools are no longer enough. You need the tools to be shit hot, if I can say it. You need the tools to be hot, 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 right? And your integration of those tools with your offer should be even hotter. It should just be perfect. And the offer that you're presenting should include tools. It should be including testimonials. How much have I actually helped people learn language who don't necessarily want to learn it, who need it for their jobs, who need it for exams? But don't worry, because I'm the kind of teacher who'll get you through, you know? I'd like to compare it in this context to really make it clear. I compare it to going to the gym. Learning English, if you ever need an allegory or a sort of parallel example to think about it, it's so similar to going to the gym. Every single person in the world can benefit from exercise. It will make you live longer. And what more fundamental need is there in the world than to live? And so if someone says to you, I will give you the magic formula to live 5 more years and to have more time with your family and whatever, of course you're going to want that. So why doesn't everybody go out jogging and go to the gym and do aerobics at home with YouTube videos and stuff like that? It's because we are just it's fundamentally difficult to motivate ourselves to do things that we don't have a passion, like a deep passion for. So for me, part of your offer as a business offer, as being a teacher with these tools, is saying, I have tools and a method and my awesome personality that can help you to get what you need, which is to learn English, even though you kind of have this difficulty motivating yourself. Part of my business coaching is to make people think, what is the core problem? Don't talk about they need it for their exams. Don't talk about they need it for whatever. What is the core problem they're having? Needing English for an exam is a need, it's not a problem. It's a solution to learn English for an exam. The problem is they need this English learning objective. They need to get there, but they can't because they're in their own way. That's the problem. So think about the problem when you're thinking about your business offer. I will help you get out of your own way. I am an awesome teacher, and that's my first feedback for you to go away with. You may not fully understand your value to your learners. So Jana, I'm looking at you just because you answered. I'm sorry that you did, but you're not going to say anything else for the rest of the presentation. No, but I'm joking. Everybody has to think about this. I have to think about this. I'm still a teacher and I need to think about this. I don't fully sometimes understand the value I'm bringing, and I have to really remind myself the value I'm bringing. Why do they not just go to Bob the Canadian? If you've never seen Bob the Canadian, one of my favorite teachers in the world. If Bob was teaching German, I need to learn German. My wife is German, and I really can't motivate myself to learn German. We've been together for nearly 11 years, and I still haven't learned German. We speak English all the time. So I'm a fantastic example of the laziness of the human condition. And if Bob were to teach me Canadian or to teach me German, I would jump at it because he's such a cool teacher. I love him. He's just, if you watch Bob, you know, but why don't people just go watch Bob and learn English? Why do they need me? They need me because the same way I need Bob. I don't want to watch Bob's videos about learning German. I want to speak to Bob. I want him to motivate me. I want him to give me challenges. I want him to tell me it's going to be okay and share his stories of how it's difficult to learn language. I need him to support me and to coach me, right? So anybody here who's done language coaching, if you haven't done it, if you're doing it, it's great. If you haven't done it, think about it, because coaching goes down that road of, I'm not just giving you grammar and vocabulary and tools that teach you the grammar and the vocabulary. I'm using tools, digital tools, that go beyond what the simple human can do in terms of motivating you. You know, the coach in the gym can just get you to do push-ups and squats. But if the coach in the gym puts you on a running machine and shows you the different buttons to do different challenges and comes back and says, come on, you can do it, you know, let's push it up higher, harder. That's that kind of, you know, you have a coach, you have an accompaniment, and that's important. And that's the value you bring to your learners. So put that front and center. If that's not front and center in your offer, go away and put it front and center in your offer today, because that's what people should be looking at. And when these digital teachers come online and flood the market with, oh, I've made the next e-learning solution, I've built my offer on whatever platform, look at all these amazing, I've got from A to Z, I've got presenting, I've got meetings, I've got negotiating, I've got it all. You need to say, yeah, but that's nonsense, because that will work. You may as well go on YouTube and get it for free. What I do is better, because I use those tools and I help you to figure out how to put that language into practice and how to get better. And that's my specialty, that's my talent, yeah, that these other teachers don't have, because they haven't figured out how to integrate the tools properly into their offer, right? Another thought-provoking question. Are your digital tools really, again, I used the bold, so you know that means something. Are your digital tools really necessary to achieve your learners' goals? So anybody here who uses a digital tool, tell me about the main tool perhaps you use. What's the main tool you're using today to help your learners achieve their goals? And do you think it is really necessary? When I say really necessary, by the way, I mean, could you replace your digital tool with something non-digital? If you tell me I'm using PDFs and I'm sharing them on the screen, why don't you just get them to print them and they could just look at them? So to challenge this thought of, yeah, I use these awesome digital tools, are all the digital tools you use really necessary, or could some of them be replaced? And if they can be replaced, that's a risk. Not really. Okay, Mohammed, tell me not really. So your tools that you're using are not. YouTube videos can't be replaced, Jana? I like a challenge. YouTube videos can't be replaced. It depends. If the YouTube video is of someone presenting a grammar point, could you not just present the grammar point yourself? What's the point of sending them a YouTube video? And that's where we say, yeah, but this is where we're going to come to this example of auditing. So if I say to you, yeah, but you could just tell them the grammar yourself. Why do you give them a grammar video from Bob the Canadian? You could just tell them about the grammar yourself. It's a waste. It's not a waste, because if you're telling them yourself, you're wasting time. If they do it on their own at home, that's that flipped classroom, beautiful thing where they don't have to waste the teacher's time, and the teacher can spend the maximum time doing practical things and not explaining grammar points. Yeah, grammar is not a good example, that's true. But grammar is something I would send, if French people, where I am, French people are obsessed with grammar. You cannot get them to break the habit of wanting to know about grammar. And so I sent, when they say, I need you to explain this grammar point to me, I say, look, watch Bob. Bob will explain it to you. Come back to me and we'll work through it with some examples together next time. And so I'm kind of outsourcing that. And without YouTube, I wouldn't be able to outsource it, because I can't talk to them if I'm not with them. So that's something where I actually need YouTube for that. Jana uses videos with different dialects and accents. Very good point. Those videos cannot be replaced. That's right. So you would need the videos or audio or some sort of material online that can't be replaced. That's good. Sharon says, we're using Slack as an asynchronous platform for master students to work on mini projects that feed into their final portfolios. This is essential because it provides a space for them to work, but it is only a space. What is important is the way we work with it. Exactly. But you're auditing your tool and you're thinking, what would happen if we didn't have Slack? What would happen if we just used WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or emails, for example, a different tool that's not as complicated as Slack? Well, then you wouldn't have channels. You wouldn't be able to have private conversations and threads and these things that would make the students lost if not using Slack, for example. So that could be a good thing. Odette says Irish people learning French are also obsessed with grammar. Oh, I believe it. Yeah, I know. I talk about France, and I'm a bit sort of racist, I'm afraid, sometimes, about, because I only have that French example. So I say, yeah, French people are like that. French people are like that. They're not. Yeah, Italian people, Spanish people, even Irish people, English people. We're all kind of the same. We all have the same self-confidence issues and traumatisms from school, where the French teacher in school told them, you have to learn your passé composé or you're never going to get anywhere. And so, yeah, I understand it is important. Sorry, I had a question I think I missed up there somewhere. Niche teaching. So yeah, Haj said, do you think niche teaching can work in an ordinary EFL classroom? I think that's another question. It's difficult to talk about the classroom. I think you can, and in the EFL classroom, you can still be using tools. Tools do not mean, and doing a good business offer does not mean offering on Visio. However, offering on Visio opens you to an international market. If you have enough of a market where you are physically and you can invite people into your classroom, and that's possible for you, then for sure use the same method, and with tools that adapted in a different way for the classroom. That's for sure. Yeah. So are the tools really necessary? I ask this question because a lot of the times when I audit people's systems, they're using, I don't know, some e-learning system, for example, they'll be using Macmillan English Campus. And I say, but why are you using Macmillan English Campus? Oh, because they need to practice outside class. Buy them a book. Macmillan in Company is a really nice book, or like the homework accompaniment for International Express or English File. These are really nice books. Why do you need to give them digital access? It's a pain for them. They like books. They want to use books. You're making them suffer because they don't like online stuff. It bores them. They tell you it bores them. Oh yeah, but in the end, what we need is for them to rack up enough hours that we can get them to sign a piece of paper that says they did these hours, so that the financer will pay for the training. So when you dig into why they're using the tool, you realize it's not to be attractive, it's not to be different, it's not to bring extra value to their learners, it's to tick a box. in the training requirements. So when you audit your tools, sometimes in big institutions, you know, they would realize that it's not actually necessary. One thing I learned from doing this training with teachers over the last year is that a lot of teachers are tempted very quickly to use the next cool tool. If you're always thinking, and you know, the school example is the same, if you're always thinking with a student-centered approach, then you will never go wrong. If you always think, my student using this tool, how is it going to be better for them than them using a piece of paper, a photocopy, or nothing, or just seeing me face-to-face and just doing face-to-face lessons? How will this tool actually help them learn faster? How will it help them learn faster? By getting over confidence problems, by getting over confidence problems. I'm just hearing my little girl crying downstairs. I'm at my parents' house. Welcome to confinement world. So yeah, that's I'm hearing babies crying behind me. How can it help them get over confidence problems? How can it help them put the language into practice better? That's in the end, all they need is to put the language into practice, get over confidence problems, to put the language into practice, to get feedback on their language practice, to feel the reward of getting this good feedback, you know, partially good feedback on their language practice, and feeling like they've achieved something, because they need that feeling of achievement. The same as when you're in the gym, you need that feeling that I ran 30 minutes today, or I ran 5 kilometers. That's more than yesterday when I ran 4. You need that feeling of achievement to keep pushing you forward, and it can be very addictive. So just make sure that the tools you're using are really for the student, only for the student, not for you, not for how cool your offer looks, but it's really for the student. Yeah, and think of how the student can benefit from them, really, really benefit from them, more than something that's an alternative. I really like doing an audit with the SAMR model, which I'm sure you already know because you're all very techie people, but just in case, this is a lovely picture that I wanted to share with you that I found. The SAMR model, it's substitution, augmentation, modification, redefinition. At what point does the technology you're using serve a role to either enhance or to transform your teaching? So just think about this when you're employing new tools, for example. I wrote some examples like substitution. No tech is the person who does a video call and doesn't share anything on the screen, just does a video call. For me, yes, there's tech to do the video call, but there's no tech to deliver content. There's no tools that enhance the learning, right?
Could you hit Leah so we can see it a little bit larger? Because it's
sure.
so small.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I like to have the notes up, but that's cool. I can do it without notes. I'm very improvisational. So substitution would be, I'm going to share a page from a book with a gap fill, and I'm going to share it on the screen. So the tech has substituted for the learner printing it out and looking at it in front of them themselves. So you're reading the gap fill, asking them to orally answer the gap fill. It's the same as sitting in a classroom and getting them to just read out the answers to you and look at it in front of their face. So sharing a PDF on the screen, you know, substitution, essentially you could do without it. If there's no functional change, there's no value. So you can just do without that, right? Augmentation, or you can choose. You can just say, do you prefer PDF or do you prefer paper? And if they prefer paper, then you should use paper if it's a student-centered approach. Augmentation is when you say that the tech is providing some sort of functional improvement to a substitution. Hang on one second. Sorry. Could you go away, please? Thanks. Just give me 1 second.
It's a lovely.
Yes, lovely.
No. Can I ask what is
go ahead.
the wall behind you? That looks like a curtain painted on the wall, or what is it?
Yeah, it's actually like one of those mosquito nets, but it kind of makes it look like a princess bed. Yeah, yeah. No, my kids love sleeping in this room. Yeah, they love sleeping in this room because it's like a princess bed. So I've got 2 little girls who absolutely love that. Yeah.
Lovely. Your father?
Yeah, that was my dad just taking the baby bed out because baby needs to go to sleep. So there we go.
Lovely. Thank you.
Oh, confinement world, you really let people into your lives in confinement world, don't you? Yeah. So yeah, augmentation, you're sharing a PDF on the screen. It's a substitute for giving it to the learner, but there's a functional improvement. Could be something like you let them annotate. So you say, please write the answer on the PDF. So they're not just looking at it, they can actually write on it, and we can look at it together as you're writing on it, right? So that would be, for me, a functional improvement. Modification, you get into the area where you're really bringing extra value to your learners, where there's a significant redesign of the tasks that is only available because of the tech. And that would be perhaps the YouTube example, where we can't listen to accents. We can't, we don't have time to go to China and listen to someone speaking English or phone somebody and ask them. So the video recording of somebody speaking with a Chinese accent is a task redesign that allows you to do something that you wouldn't be able to do without the tech. So we've really transformed the way that we work in the language class. And that's where you can be sure, if you're in that territory, you're really bringing value with your tools. So that would be sharing the PDF on the screen, modifying the PDF, taking a screenshot of the PDF that you've modified, putting that screenshot into a Google slide and writing some questions next to the Google slide about the screenshot of the PDF that you're going to give them for homework, and you're going to assign that homework to them in Google Classroom with a deadline and a scoring system. You've copied the CEFR scale and you've put it into Google Classroom. And so you're going to give them a score at the end of their homework based on CEFR levels, and that they can track their score with the Google Classroom tool to see how they've been doing week on week. For me, that's already really, really cool. It's a really great use of tools, and that's modification for me. You were really redesigning how we give homeworks. We already did that before. We gave them a piece of paper, they took it home, they filled it in, they brought it back, we had to look at it. But this is different. This is the teacher can collaborate in what they're writing, take a photo, say this bit needs to be worked on, so I'm going to put that in your Google Classroom. I'll give you a mark on that next time when you come in, etc., etc. Sorry, I get excited when I talk about these kind of solutions. Redefinition, however, is the ultimate goal, which, and this is fantastically represented by a submarine. Redefinition is where you've created a completely new task that was previously inconceivable. So the only example I could come up with was just forget PDFs, forget the gap fill about traveling to London and how do you explain where to go and up and down and left and right. Get into Google Maps, drop the little yellow dude into the British Museum, get everybody to put on VR headsets, and then everybody does an immersive tour of the British Museum using the mouse and using remote control on Zoom to pass the mouse from person to person who can control the camera and move everybody around and say, look, we're going to go over here now, and everybody can look and see, and look on your left, you'll see the Mona Lisa in the Louvre in Paris. And so what can we say about this painting? It's inconceivable, because we wouldn't be able to take a class and go to London and get into the British Museum to do this. We feel immersed because we have a VR headset. We feel, we're completely immersed in this world. We're listening to someone speaking English at the same time. We may as well be in the British Museum. And that is something that where you really can be sure that you're doing something new. And if you put that on your business offer, then what more proof do you need that what you're doing is amazing? And then if you have some testimonials below that that says, I'm thinking about Heike and her projects that she's done in the past using 3D avatars and virtual rooms. That's that kind of stuff that you just can't do any other way. And it's amazing. And if you see that, you would think, gosh, I really want to test that and see what it does. And if you see the testimonial saying, changed my life, speak English like a pro now, I'm fluent in one day, I'm talking nonsense, but it's that kind of thing where I don't need to justify it, because you can see that the solution is so amazing that you'll just believe it. Yeah. My final thought-provoking question, I hope I'm not running over time, is, are you building your online brand? If not, why not? And if so, is it working? It's a very difficult thing to define, but I will invite everybody to answer this question in the chat, please. So Haj has a question, I think is related to what I've just talked about, which is fine. I'm happy to take questions at any point because we don't have a huge amount of time. Haj said the problem with technology is using it excessively may kill real life classroom communication and hamper fluency. Absolutely, but that's why we need to audit what we're doing. We need to, if you're auditing what you're doing and it's student-centered, then everything you're using the technology for would only be to promote fluency, because that's the objective of your learners. That's the one problem they have, is being more fluent. So if every technological decision you make, Haj, is about student-centered, is about them improving their fluency, is them getting over confidence issues, then it can only be improving what would happen inside a classroom. It can only be making it better and making it faster and making it more efficient, because technology can accelerate if it's used in the right way, for sure. But if you're always auditing and always thinking about, is this really bringing value to my students, then it will always be working. Odette says, not really, takes too much time. I love it, Odette. not really takes too much time. Heike says, could you explain what an online brand could be? Is it a good CV, a good online CV? I love it, because this means that I'm really bringing something new to you today. I was worried that you would know it all and you've seen it all. I'm talking about Google Maps. You're thinking, yeah, you know, I was putting on VR headsets when they weren't even available on the market yet. You know, we're cool techie people. Fine. So the thing of what I'm talking about building an online brand is, I'll give you a couple of examples afterwards, but is if you're offering your training online, if you're a tech teacher and you're offering tools and you're offering video conference training, and it's not just one-on-one training, or even if it is just one-on-one training, do people on the internet see what you're doing? Can people who want to learn English type somewhere, I want to learn English and I'm sick of all the crap that's out there? Will they find you? Will they find you, you know, it maybe you're country specific like me. So maybe you're offering something that's all written in French. Fine, fair enough. Will all the French people in France at one point see my offer and realize, oh my God, this guy is doing something so different. This is not what I've seen before. Because there are millions of English teachers in the world. There are platforms like italki that could potentially make us look like idiots, because we're charging 60 euros an hour or whatever for our language training, individual training, for example, or group training. And on italki, there's somebody in Russia who's charging, and it's not to be offensive to Russians, it's because that's what I've seen, charging a bilingual person, super good in English, charging 10 euros an hour, and that you can book them anytime online, you know, from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So it kind of makes us look like dummies if we're not showing what we're doing in a way that gives us brand. Brand is when someone recognizes you. You don't recognize me because I publish a lot of stuff, but I never work on my brand. Nobody knows who Richard Osborne is, particularly, apart from I saw him in that webinar once. That was really funny, or he talked a lot of nonsense or whatever. Brand is when people recognize you. So what I want is for people to recognize Osborne Solutions, for example, is my company. I want them to recognize that as, if you want a website developed super quickly, or you want a prototype of a mobile application, Osborne Solutions are the guys to go to, because they're super nice, not very expensive. It's about knowing when you see, you know, Heike Phillip, or when I see Virtual Roundtable, what does that brand say to me? And if I find it, will I have enough information on your website or on your whatever Facebook page to be able to pursue you to go further and to engage your services, right? So that's what I'm talking about, brand building. So let's see what answers have we got. Jessica says, trying, good. Building it takes time and effort. When we get it, it's really gratifying. Absolutely. Yeah. But there's a way of building brand. Yeah. If you go and look online, there are millions of teachers building their brands. I mean, I'm using numbers that are complete nonsense, but you know, it might not be far away. I know there are millions of teachers in the world because I've done the research on LinkedIn. There are thousands of teachers who work for italki. So if I go looking for online teacher booking online, I'll find italki very quickly, and there's lots of teachers working there. How do you distinguish yourself in a world where there are thousands of online offers, where there are hundreds of very popular YouTube channels with between 100,000 and 1 million followers? How do you compete in this world to get people to see you out in this world? If you're investing in all these tools and this amazing approach that's better than anyone else's, then how are you going to let people know? The only reason you don't have enough business, or you're not making the money that you would like to make, is because people don't know about what you're doing. That's all it is. They just don't know what you're doing. So how are you going to tell them what they're doing? So some specific lessons Sharon is asking for from what I've learned from training experience last year related to brand building. What I've learned is almost all teachers are not doing it right. YouTube channel, Robin says, is a good idea. I agree, but almost all teachers don't do it right because they are not building brand. What they think about when they think about putting things online is, I'm going to put an instructional video on how to use phrasal verbs, and it'll be more funny than the usual video about how to use phrasal verbs. That will not work, and you will not get enough business from that to do what you want to do, to build an e-learning solution. Perhaps your dream is to build an e-learning solution where people will pay money to do things where you're not physically involved all the time. So part of your revenue will be passive. You'll have active, you'll be in doing classes, but part of it will be passive, right? What I've learned is that almost all teachers are not business minded. Almost all teachers are scared of putting themselves online. Almost all teachers are scared of the three following things. So we're going to play Never Have I Ever. You can put a message in the chat if you have ever done any of these things. So never have I ever, you have to stand up if you've done one of these things. Never have I ever recorded myself for a learner. Has anyone out there recorded themselves for a learner? I mean, recording yourself on a video. Yeah. Jana has done it. Nice. Sharon has done it. Nice. Robin has done it. Nice. Okay, that's a good start. The start of this whole thing is get used to the camera. People love you as their English teacher because they just love you. They love your face. Yeah. As much as you don't like your face, your learners love your little face. Yeah. I can promise you that. One of the reasons they come back week on week is because they love your little face and your personality, the way you talk to them, the way you make them feel comfortable, the way you're super friendly, whatever it is. You ask them about their family, I don't know, whatever, that they love you, right? So get used to recording yourself and being on camera. Be totally comfortable with it. Do it every day until you just don't even think about it. If you can pull your phone out of your pocket, point it at your face, hit record and say, hey guys, what's up? Blah, 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 blah. Post with no modifications, no reshoots, no edits, then you're good. That's one thing you need, in my opinion, to build your brand. Because to be out there, you have to be out there on video every single day. When you're out there on video every single day, everybody will know what you're doing. Second thing, never have I ever published my lessons online for free. Have you ever published your lessons online for free with no strings attached? Yes, 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 yes. I love it. Robin, Adriana, Grant, very good. Sharon and Yana, excellent. Step number 2, you have completed in building your online brand. When people are looking at your wee face every day and falling in love with you because you're the best English teacher they've ever seen, then if they can download a lesson from you for free, they'll just ask you to marry them. Now, the very, very last thing is one thing that teachers I find are particularly afraid of. So let's find out what people say. Never have I ever given away all my best advice for free. All of it, held nothing back. Go on camera every day, tell them all your best teaching tips, tell them all your best English learning tips for free. Anybody? Grant says yes. My God, Grant, I want to have a look at your website. Yana says no. So that's, Sharon says yes. Oh my goodness. I have people, much, but not all. Andrea, that's okay. That's okay. We'd have to look at, if we were doing a proper audit, we would look at what you're holding back and why. Because the fear is, I have to keep something, or else what have I got left to sell? Well, if you're only selling your advice, you're in a very risky position. Yeah. You should be thinking about what you personally, the only thing that cannot be copied is you, right? So it's your personality. You are unique. You're a unique teacher. And that's one thing that cannot be copied. All teachers know how to explain present perfect. I'm sorry. All teachers know how to explain phrasal verbs. Get it out of your head. That is not your talent. Your talent is your personality, your ability to coach, your ability to have empathy, to put yourself in the learner's shoes, to understand the problems they're going through, etc. Yeah. So, Yana, many people can't deal with all my advice. Put it out there anyway, because people won't read it all. You're putting things out on your brand channel. So we're talking Facebook, we're talking LinkedIn, we're talking Instagram, perhaps short videos. Each one of these platforms has different things. We're not going to go into huge detail, but just very shortly, very, very briefly, and very roughly, Facebook, you should be presenting things like what we're doing today, full lessons, 1 whole hour with Yana, for example, explaining all sorts of different things, doing a webinar, taking questions, 1 hour with Yana once a day, for example. Why not? Let's go crazy. Once a day with Yana on Facebook. And then part of that video should be cut and put on Instagram, maximum 1 minute, I would say. That's what Instagram is for, right? Maybe a quote from that video cut and created with Canva and put into Instagram as, for learners, Yana says, Yana, you need to do an audit of how much your learners love you. Go out today, Yana, and say, do you really like me, to all your learners? And they'll say, hell yeah, you're awesome. Oh my God, I don't want any other. Do you want to change English teachers? Is a good question. Hell no, if you ever leave, I will quit the country. So there you go. You know they love you. So just think about that. They're not pro learners. They do love you. So Instagram, great. Maybe you're already doing these things. LinkedIn, you need to have videos and you need to have inspirational quotes. That's the kind of things that work on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, by the way, just very, very quickly, is the platform where you should be publishing your brand videos, which is you doing your thing, being you, whatever your logo, your kind of style is, putting those into paid advertisements. If you're a business teacher, think about this, put them into paid advertisements and filter the paid advertisement on LinkedIn to only target a company that's nearby where you live, that's near where you live, so that every single person in that company gets a video of your face appearing on LinkedIn. And it has to be an MP4 video, by the way, for all those techie people, not a YouTube, because MP4 plays automatically when it comes up in the feed and it should be subtitled. Your face saying, hey there, IBM worker, and they'll just crap themselves. Do you speak English? Who's this person talking to me on LinkedIn? Just thinking about that, right? Then, and even if you say, oh, all these things, I know all these things, what about TikTok? TikTok, yeah, okay, it's just for teenagers. No, it's not. TikTok is starting to be used by 20-somethings. So if you have any 20-somethings, if you have students, they will love seeing you for 10 seconds on TikTok. This has to be snappy videos, super snappy, that shows your brand, that shows your personality, but that is super snappy. And that talks maybe a little bit sometimes about the tools you use. These tools are the things behind your personality that will make you look like some sort of magician for language learning, because not only are you super nice and friendly, but you have these amazing tools and this whole approach based behind you on these tools that are going to make you do amazing work, right? Then think about things like Clubhouse. Are you on Clubhouse yet? If you're really building your brand, you jump on any platforms that have a buzz. Clubhouse is an audio only social media platform. You can open a room called Yana's English Training, and you invite all your learners to come and go in and out. They practice with each other. They practice at different levels. You jump in sometimes and help them whenever you're free. But think about that. Clubhouse, yeah, get Clubhouse. If you have an iPhone, get yourself Clubhouse. If you don't have an iPhone, it's coming to Android soon. Yeah, there you go. Clubhouse is brand new. Tons of people in there, millions of people in there, all communicating by audio. And you see a lot of companies have joined. A lot of big companies have joined. The CEO of the company has made a room, and you can join the room with the CEO of whatever and talk to him or her about whatever issues you're having, or just have a chat or whatever. Network. It's a really interesting platform, and it's just brand new. Anyway, this is building your brand. Building your brand is recording a video every damn day. Doesn't matter that you don't like your face. Your face sells. So get your face online, and that's what I would say. And give away everything. Don't think about holding anything back. Give it all away. Because if that person who's watching that video is not physically with you in a video call, they are not getting what they would be paying for if they engaged you. And that is you one-on-one, or in a small group, or whatever your offer is, that they get you. That's the paid offer, is that they will get you all to themselves for a little bit. But that's the paid offer, yeah. And that you have e-learning materials too. Why not? You have an e-learning platform, you have an LMS, you have tools. You link those tools into your video teaching or your group teaching, your individual teaching, and then you have an offer that is just impossible to beat. So teachers are not business-minded is my final advice. I did put a little link to a guy that I quite like, who's I think based in Germany, called Herbert Gerzer. He has a LinkedIn profile, it's very active. He has a website, and he gives away a lot of advice about setting up your brand on Facebook and on social media, making a website. He gives lots of advice for free, and he also has paid courses, and he also does consulting if you're interested in that too. And obviously I do these things too, but I'm a bit kind of flaky. So if you want to contact me about these kind of things, feel free and we can talk about it. But it's difficult for me sometimes to I don't have a specific offer for these things yet. So, if you want to talk to me about it, feel free. But Herbert Gerzer, for example, has his own fully made offer. If you want to see some really good examples of what I think are like top shelf examples of online brands, Sam Grattan, you look him up on LinkedIn. If the presentation is shared on Facebook, you can click the link, you click Sam Grattan, and you'll get to his website. He has a LinkedIn profile that just shows exactly what you should be doing on LinkedIn. It is perfect. His videos are amazing. He knows who he's targeting. He knows how to deliver videos to that audience. Huggins International, genius. Genius if you haven't done this yet. 30-day speaking challenge, recommended to all your friends who want to learn any language in the world, even Irish, even French, German, whatever. There's this amazing system using Google Docs. So it's quite low tech in terms of what we're doing, but Google Docs plus audio recording tools, and you'll love it. And he's pulling in tons of language learners who will fall in love with the Huggins method and will go to Huggins afterwards to see, can I pay this guy a huge bag of money to teach me a language? Because I love his 30-day speaking challenge, which is only 10 euros and very often is actually free. So think about that when we talk about giving away your best stuff for free. The 30-day speaking challenge is often free. That's it. I hope I didn't go too far over time. I'm sorry. Oh no, actually I'm not too bad there. 45 minutes on the nose. So I'm open to questions. Yana says to have a method named after you is a gold nugget. Absolutely. Yeah, the Yana method. I love it. You've got it. The Andrea methods. Okay, so Lexman says you're from Kathmandu, Nepal. Happy to be with you. You too, no problem. Yeah, I wonder what that would be. No, the Yana method. The Yana, I like the Yana solution, but that sounds a little bit, yeah, maybe it's a bit weird. Yeah, the Lana method, the Lana approach. Yana approach.
Is building a brand only for teachers who are self-employed and free on the market, or is it also something for the employed ones?
You know, it's a funny thing. It really depends on you. Part of building a brand is obviously to generate more business. So if you're an independent teacher, that is a big deal. But some people build brand just because they like having the notoriety. So if you're an employed teacher in a language school, if you have a full-time contract, you might not really think of generating more business for your school. Would that be perhaps a thing your school could value and could give you an increased salary for? If you say, by the way, I'm a famous online teacher. I know somebody in Paris, for example, who is, his name is Fluency MC, and he is very famous on the internet. He has lots of brand. He's built a brand on the internet of helping teachers to help themselves. And so he has lots of Facebook groups. You might even be in his Facebook group. I can't remember what the name of it exactly is, but he's built, yeah, Fluency MC, there you go. He's a singer, yeah. So he goes into French schools, and French schools hire him to come in and teach huge rooms of students. And I'm sure he's well paid. I'm not sure how much, obviously, but he gets this brand recognition because he has this notoriety. So when he does an application to a high school in France and says, do you want me to come in and teach your kids for a day? It'll be paid. It's, you know, expensive. It's this much. And he sends his brand information, his website, his credentials, his testimonials, and people see he's got 1 million followers on YouTube. He's got a huge, whatever, Facebook group. Then that's something that gives him notoriety. So as an independent, he does very well with that. Now, if he was employed by a school, the school can use his notoriety to promote their own offers. If he says, I'm now working for X school, and you have notoriety. So it really depends on what do you want to do with the brand. And I think one of the fundamental questions is, will you enjoy having a brand? So will you enjoy being recognizable? Do you enjoy promoting yourself? Do you have that business mentality? And some teachers don't, and that's okay. And if you're happy with the number of students you have and your business model is rolling and working, there's no reason to build a brand. It's only for teachers who dream of doing something more or who are trying to do something more and it's not quite working. So I know teachers who have had 200 followers on YouTube for 2 years because they just can't get into the mentality of building brands. So they never get any new subscribers and they're pushing out content every week, but they never get anybody new. So her dream is to go bigger. So, you know, if that's your dream, then you need to think about that. Yeah, Fluency MC is doing a great job. I agree, absolutely. Everybody knows it. Fluency MC. I know Fluency MC works on a project with me. So there you go. I'm this random person who just pops up in the language world, and I happen to know a lot of people. So here I am. How can we improve English in such a situation where English is a filter language, not first or second language? What do you mean, Laxman, by filter language? Could you give me more definition on that? Yeah, using music to teach grammar and vocab. Yeah, it's a great method.
Sorry, we're running a little late. Richard, is
no
there
problem.
a chance that you could answer some of the questions whilst typing when you stay behind now and type
yeah, no problem.
the answers? Yeah. Would that
no
be
problem.
Good?
No problem at all. So thanks, everybody. Thank you very much for your time.
Well, I cannot thank you enough, Richard. There's been such a thought-provoking discussion and also a beautiful discussion because the brand awareness of teachers is really lacking way behind. And so you've done a fantastic job to bring this to our attention and also give it a purpose, you know, why we should do this. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I hope it brings some help to people here. That'd be my pleasure.
Thank you.